Welcome to the Out There channel live stream 464. See you after the intro.
Hiding, I'm searching, I'm loving, I'm finding love. I'm hiding, I'm searching, I'm loving, I'm finding love.
Let fate control your body. I'm searching, I'm loving, I'm finding love.
Good to be back. Hello. Anybody out there? This is going to be a sort of a test run. What's going on here? Alright, it worked. So far so good. I don't know if anyone's watching. Usual story. Okay, so anyone out there? Can't trust the stats here though. So yeah, we're going to be looking at some old UFO cases and paranormal cases from a 40-year-old collection of magazines, which probably haven't been computerized. We did start that years ago, and I thought I'll get a better camera and retry it. So this will be the test run. From what I've been doing, it looks like it's coming out really good this time. Whether I can handle it with my back pain, of course, and wrist pain and all the other pains I get. Yeah, so should really test out a light, shouldn't I? Welcome. Channel Live-464. 40-year-old mags with old paranormal cases and stories and UFO accounts. So this is how we used to get our information. We just do a test like, make sure it's working. Yay. Where is everybody? 3 o'clock, because sometimes I started then. I'll just post a link here. Alright, we should be ready to go. Looks like it's all working. So I set up this package on my phone, which allows you to stream it to the browser, as you can see here. You can see my other screen now, and the magazine, The Unexplained, The Mysteries of Mind, Space and Time. So you can see the quality of the camera is far superior now, and it should be a bit of fun working through it. Hopefully. I just wonder if I should leave the power cable in or not, because it does sort of drag it a wee bit. So yeah, I'm not too sure how much the magazine costs. It probably says here somewhere. About $1.50, I think, New Zealand. But yes, some people may have collected these magazines before the internet was invented, which comes into my timeline. All these lucky people that sort of were born when all this technology was around. So here's the first article on magazine 37, talking about the mystery airships of the 1890s. So you can see even those stories were around back then. And look how good that picture is. As long as I keep it steady, or focus in, hopefully. A lot better than my first attempt. You can almost read it, eh? And that's pretty good. We're getting a shadow there. What's that meant to be? So I've got to push that up a bit. Okay, looks like someone's drawing of an airship. We won't read it out, we'll just have a look at all the pictures. But you can see where it's going to go. Hey, Jason, how's it going? I think you might be the only one on at the moment. Hopefully the audio is working alright. If I sound crappy, let me know. So we got some more pictures of airships here. Some pretty good drawings there. That one's got a little gunship on the front and on the sides. I don't know if they managed to get it that far. I think they never managed to lift up that kind of weight. I suppose if you had these size blimps of Phoenix lights, it might be possible. But we've got better technology now, haven't we? The Wright brothers. You can see they didn't get airfoil back then. It's only a slight bend in the wing there, which actually gave it a lift. So yeah, the words can focus in if you give it time. Now I've got this holder for the phone. So it's talking about Houston port of 21st of April 1847 97 carried in accounts of the first Wilson incident. So yeah, the world's conception of air travel was still dominated by image of airship. I reckon airships do a comeback. What do you reckon? I'd like to go on an airship before I die. That would be cool. It'd be cheaper than going into space, you know, funding Elon Musk. I'm surprised that Google hasn't gone into airship taxis and things, you know. At least it's a stable flying car. They can do now. Sighton at Deadwood, isn't that where the old westerns are? Texas, a farmer called H.C. Langron had heard of his horse bucking as if it's about to run amok. Going outside, he saw a bright white light circling around the fields nearby, illuminating the entire area before descending and landing in one of the fields. That sounds very much like a UFO, doesn't it? Walking to the landing spot, Langron found a crew of 5 men, 3 of whom talked to him while the others collected water in rubber bags, and I suppose that's for buoyancy, is it? The men informed Langron that their airship was one of 5 that they had been flying around the country recently. So you never heard that story before, have we? That theirs was the same vessel that had landed in Beaumont in the first incident, and that all ships had been constructed in an interior town of Illinois. And if you want to pee off goof on, you say Illinois, because he doesn't like the S on the end. Okay, so why put an S on the end? It should be democratically voted off. Which borders Iowa? There was reluctant to say any more because where does it go to there? They had not yet taken out any patents on their machine. Sounds a bit like steampunk, doesn't it? So this is what we thought. A lot of the sightings back then were people like the Wright brothers with their own little sheds out in the countryside, fields where they can practice their flying machines. And of course they knew hydrogen was working back then. They didn't know about helium though, unfortunately. That's probably where most of them went wrong. So it makes you wonder what these 5 airships were about then. I can't keep a steady hand here. Just sort of hurt the hand a wee bit. Not sure much more I can read on that. So what's down here at the bottom? Another little side story. Other mystery airships. Wave began in November 1896 when citizens of Sacramento, California watched a light moving through the night sky. Okay. A dark shape supporting the light could sometimes be glimpsed. That almost sounds like Battle of the LA again. The airship motion was invariably slow and often undulated, suggesting a wind-blown aircraft. And there you go. So this is before UFOs, obviously. Fiery object taken off as they approached. So what was that one? Airships have been seen on the ground. In one case, 2 cases, 2 Methodists. And it's this sort of fiery object taken off as they approached. So it sounds to me they had airships with experimental rocket engines, to launch it up faster. Or bring it down, because if you had a bigger thrust, turn it around, bigger thrust, it would bring it down faster than releasing gas, which is kind of a wasteful thing to do, isn't it? So yeah, I might move on. This will be here all night, which doesn't matter. Yeah, I got 100 of these magazines. This is just the first one. So that's the Wright brothers. There's not much curvature in that ring, so it's barely got off the ground, didn't it? Washington City. By 1896, instructors and students at MIT had built a wind tunnel. Were experimenting with it and to get practical knowledge of aerodynamics. A man such as Wilson could have attended those courses and gone on to Cornell University. Pioneers in the public eye. So I think these early ones sound very much man-made, don't they? The early UFOs. It's a little tiny picture, but look how good it comes out. That's pretty good. And there we go. Numerous UFO sightings of early 20th century and the rapid pace of technology development suggests that this... Oh, it's going out of focus. Why? May have been so... In 1904, US Navy Lieutenant Frank, later to be Commander-in-Chief, blah blah blah, officially reported seeing from a deck of his ship 3 bright lights that were travelling in echelon, remained above the clouds and ascended before disappearing. In 1909, numerous unidentified aircraft were reported over Massachusetts. On 30th of August 1919 at 9 p.m, a long black object flew over Madison Square, New York. Well, millions would have seen that then, and witnessed by hundreds. Well, hundreds? Must have been not so populated back then. The nature and origin of the subject was also never determined. How about that? Scandinavian ghost planes, ghost rockets. Is it, or is it something different? 1933 and 1934. What would now be called a UFO flap occurred over Scandinavia. Ghost planes were reported on scores of occasions. They frequently appeared or were heard flying overhead in impossible conditions. They were described as monoplanes. Doesn't sound like ghost rockets though. Usually grey in colour. Sometimes their crews could be glimpsed, so they saw people aboard. Often the engines would cut out and the aircraft would glide for long periods. Sounds like again early aviators then, doesn't it? 1934. Germans. 1934, the Swedish Air Force began a thorough search of the remote area from which the ghost plane reports were emanating. I got the kiss for night. Out of the way. Yeah, where do we get to? 24 aircraft took part in the search. 2 of them crashed during it. No traces were found of the bases that would be required to support activities of intruders, unless they're underwater, of course, or in a deep lake. Which a lot of these rockets, I believe, did actually enter water. So yeah, makes you wonder if they did a proper search. So you can see there's a lot of information in these little Macs. Well worth the $1 back then. It's quite a lot of money back then, but still. You could buy a lot of sweets for $1 back then, in those days. And there's your V1, V2 I mean. Okay, next page. We're on to another subject. So who we got with us still? Sounds fine. Good. Psychic. I knew the cable would get in the way. It is dropping a wee bit of charge, but it's not too bad, is it? So we got a murmuration now. A psychic contagion. Symptoms of mass hysteria are often similar to those of serious illness, but hysteria spreads faster than any known disease. How can this be possible? Could there be a link with ESP? So we've got the Jonestown madness, where they all drunk poison. Flock of starlings in flight. It has been suggested that the weird human behavior that we call mass hysteria is a vestige of the instinct that keeps flocks of birds together. Yes, you never see them crashing into each other, do you? What do we got here? Termites, maybe. Termites. Yep. Better not put too many pictures of dead people up. Google might not like that. Not sure if I like this story much, but that's interesting thought though, talking about how the birds communicate and not crash into each other. The link with ESP. In 1944, epidemic of strange incidents took place in a small town of Muldoon in the United States. It began when a woman repeated to police that a man had sprayed her legs with gas, leaving them paralyzed. The incident was reported in the local press, and a spate of similar events began. Police were unable to catch the phantom. Gas that leaves you paralyzed. Is there any such gas? Maybe he was doing hypnosis on a... That one's not focusing in. Anyway, on to the next picture. We'll get on to the better stories. What have we got here? And then we've got a caption right underneath. Is it there? Below. Lemons making their suicidal leaps. I don't see lemons. Where's lemons? It's not the best of pictures. Oh, right at the top there. Is that what a lemon looks like? They look like little rats. Jumping off the edge, huh? Amazing. I thought that was only make-believe, for the game. Don't know if you ever played it or not. Alright, on to the next one. Was that one page or 2 pages? So we're halfway through the magazine now. The Undiscovered Country. So, is that talking about Middle Earth or something? Yeah, come on, cord. Come this way. So what are they talking about there? Survive and death. It must remain, as most people believe, a mystery. I guess. Society of Psychological Research. Blah. We're fortunate enough in its early days to be able to call upon the service of highly intelligent, well-educated sensitives with open minds, whose names are still household words. Mrs. Piper, Mrs. Thompson, Mrs. Wellett. I can't remember them. Mrs. Leonard. So, over to here then. Let's see what that says. Pluto. Greats to be a real geo something. That went out of focus. What have we got over here? Egyptians, is it? Yep. Pretty good quality camera on the phone here. I'm pretty surprised for $150. It's not too bad, is it? So people playing it back, if they want to read it, they better pause it at least. They better do a better reading job than me. Anyway. View of heaven. Don't know if that's heaven or not. It's not my view of heaven. But anyway, and that must be the opposite. We're being stuck with forks and set on fire. So this is looking pretty good. The occult stuff. Okay, what have we got coming up here? That looks like Dorothy Isaac stuff, doesn't it? With all the squiggles. What is it exactly? Volcano. Yeah, I'm not sure. Superimposed somehow. Explained. TLP sightings. The glows could be due to electric charged particles from the sun hitting the surface and causing certain materials to shine by a process called fluorescence. On lunar rocks and source show that such fluorescence glow would be far too faint to account for TLPs. So let's have a look. We must have missed a chunk here. Okay, what's this? Is that meant to be the moon? Not sure. Dark side on the moon. Now, most of the recent TLP sightings are brilliant reddish markings seen on the moon. Bright side. They concentrate around the edges of the mirror and especially in particular craters like Astera Star, whatever you call that, Arta Star. Other TLP reports tell clouds of dust covering the floor of large craters like here we go gang, Alphenasus and Plateau. So I'm not sure I've heard about this before. Some of these reports, obviously I read it 40 years ago but forgot. Some of these reports are undoubtedly due to misinterpretations by inexperienced observers or to the problems with telescopes. Yeah, that sounds more like it. American Space Agency, NASA, coordinated a TLP network for 7 years, and during that time frame of the TLP sightings reported to it were confirmed by another observatory, but many experienced astronomers have seen TLPs, and their testimony is backed up by a few instrumental observations. In 1956, American astronomer There's something rather. This more photographed the crater. In 1958, the Russian astronomer N.A. Koskyv was lucky enough to obtain the spectrum of light from a glowing TLP on the central peak. He interpreted it as light. Okay, now we go back up. What was it? From hot carbon gas. So we talked about seeing lights on the moon, right? So could this be what they're talking about? TLP, something light phenomenon, is it? So where's the front bit of that one then? I must have missed it. Mysterious lights, here we go. Can we focus on that? Come on. Seeing occasional strange lights and glows on the moon. Transient lunar phenomenon. Reports now runs over 1500. One of the first was seen in 1787. There we go. So even mystery lights is reported back in this book. And where do we get to? So that's volcano activity, but yeah, that's kind of weird, that picture. Violent past. Takes a lot of energy to raise a ton or so of dust, but if it had a meteorite impact and they didn't see it, that would have certainly the energy to create a big dust cloud. Needed to cause gas bursting from a deep pocket would produce severe moonquakes, and Apollo seismology's meters show no signs. I suppose that's true. If you had an impact, you would detect it if they lift up gear on the moon to measure it, right? People that keep saying we didn't land on the moon, obviously they did, because even in this book, they're saying the instruments didn't report any earthquakes until they purposely crashed that spaceship into the moon. Remember that one? It rang like a bell, they said. Why the airless moon should harbour hidden gas pockets. Well, we know there is a really thin atmosphere on the moon now. I don't see why there wouldn't be pockets of gas, especially if it heated up and the surface cracked for some reason, and the water vapor or something leaks out of it. So yeah, this one's probably going to be all about the lights, is it? Further reading. Atlantis of the universe. Our mystery spaceship moon. Conspiracy. We know there are solar winds though. There are three main theories. I think there's a few more than that now. I think there's about 5, 6 or 7. I think it was on that link I gave a couple of weeks back. And there was a radio show that was reading it out, which I didn't play. So this is about the formation of the moon. So you can see it's got a wee bit of everything, this magazine, which is probably basically how my show runs as well. And I like a wee bit of everything. I like a bit of science and some colourful pictures, of course. So now we're on to something different again. On to paranormal, is it? Two seemingly reliable young men report a strange encounter with a humanoid, only to retract their statement a few days later. Was it really a hoax after all, or were the witnesses forced, men in black, to make a false confession? Okay, so let's see if they've got any pictures of it. So these are the two boys. What's it say there? Their names. The two casino cashiers. Now that could be a red flag, I suppose. Who felt obliged to confess that their reported encounter with how'd you say that word? Astronauts, I guess, was a hoax. So that's what they used to call alien greys back then. UFOnauts. It's kind of tricky. UFO, because you're thinking of UFO and you're trying to say it. 3:30 a.m. Story goes on a bit there. 4 a.m. soldiers on duty at General Esperio Military College was startled when two young men burst into the guardroom. So why would you do that? That's kind of crazy if you didn't actually see something. That's a good way to get arrested and get your ass handed to you. Took blood samples from fingers. Flying saucer along a beam of light. What's that? Okay, I need to read this and hold it at the same time. Men burst in Babylon. They had seen a flying saucer close to the ground. They claim to have encountered 5 small beings. Where you gone? Oh, there we are. It's got autofocus. Where do we get to? 5 small beings who communicated with them in a strange manner. Took blood samples from their fingers. Left inscriptions on their car. Then returned to the flying saucer along with a beam of light. The saucer then took off. That's an unusual close encounter. Vertical at high speed. Well, that sort of sounds like a real case then, doesn't it? To hear about UFOs flying vertically to great altitudes is the ones that always seem to be credible to me. The soldiers insisted that the casino men should go to the Lingo Magori Hospital. Let's see. When Villegas got out of the car, he cried out, "Look, skinny." Not skinny, Bob. And thereupon found himself unable to move. The same happened to Petzitaniti. I'm not going to bother with these names, and be scrambled out. The word paralyzed was used in the reports. Well, it does sound very familiar to other cases, doesn't it? At that stage. They found themselves facing 3 small beings, and 2 more were standing near a circular machine, some 30 feet, 4 meters across. 4 meters? That sounds pretty small, doesn't it? 13 feet. And 5 feet high. Well, that's a pretty small flying saucer to seat 5 beings in, don't you think? Could that be a red flag? Alright, so what have we got here? We've got the strange markings. We have seen something like that before though, haven't we? Wasn't Redison Forest? Of course, this is going to be way before then, isn't it? Circle. Not very good writers, aliens. Basically scratching that on your car though. If you're going to make a prank, why would you deface your own car? It's kind of weird. What do we got here? Don't fear, don't fear. A voice in Spanish. Don't fear, don't fear. Dr. Smith is here. So what do we got here? What the hell is that? Got a caption. Well, at least I can read the small print. You're not doing it this way. I'd have to read all the magazines like this now because of my bad eyes. But yeah, not too bad, is it? On to the next page, and that's it. The back of the page. And on to 38. Irish Lake Monsters. UFO goes to war. Mystery of the Welsh Lights. Robert would like this one. Time slip mechanism. Puzzles from the past. Mechanisms. Here we go. Creatures of the Irish Lakes. I've never heard much about creatures in Ireland. It looks like there's some sightings down there. And up there, all over the place. Look at that. So maybe there is some truth in all this sea monsters. So there must be a river there, because it doesn't look like a lake there. Where that one is. It's in the middle of nowhere, same as that top one up there. Cavan. That one's in a lake. So a bit of reading on this one. Nice blue colour. Large creatures of an unknown species. Well, I don't think I've heard any documentaries talking about lake monsters in Ireland. It's talking about Loch Ness there, Scottish Lochs. Encourage tourists to visit islands, lakes. Stories of evil water monsters are part of the Irish legend. And there you go. So, who we got joining us? Oh, don't say my magnifier's not working. Yeah, we just got a lot of things going at the moment. Countryman, you're joining us. Yeah, I'm pretty good. Just a wee bit pain, that's all. Numbness in the hand and stuff, and I'm trying to read these old magazines, which I haven't seen for a long time, so I'm quite enjoying it. Anyone else can just sit around and cruise along, while the battery of the phone is still gradually dropping, even though I've got it plugged in, unless my connection is broken, which is possible. I've got 3 cables joined together, so it's obviously going to reduce the voltage. But with battery and charger at the same time, we should be right. I probably should connect it in a 2 amp one or a 1 amp one. I think it's only a standard one. So yeah, we've got the sea monsters on Ireland. Have we got a picture? No pictures of them. And what have we got up here? He doesn't look too happy. What's he doing? Killing something. I sort of looked up there a wee bit. St. Coleman rescued a girl who was spotted by a monster. Okay, so you got these obviously come from really old books. There we go. Translation of it. I'm not going to try and read that. How the hell do you even read it? Is it even English? It's probably not. It's probably Latin or something. And we've got over here. Can't see any lake monsters. Certainly an old car. Yeah. So, are they still getting sightings today, is the question. 40 years on. Yeah, interesting. Was I don't quite read you there. Yeah. It doesn't quite work, does it? A screen on a screen. I worked just over 50 hours this week, so I'm enjoying my day off. Yes, that's the thing. When you're working, especially long hours, you do enjoy the time off. And to spend it on booze, just to unwind. So where are we with this one? So, we've seen that before, haven't we? Okopoko and Nessie and quite a few other videos lately, which they think is a long type eel type creature. Super eels. Super eels. Not earls. What's that one doing? Who encountered a large monster? Okay. Makes sense if you got multiple witnesses to back it up. Anyway, on to the next page. Oh, what's this thing? Is that the seahorse thing? What do they call it? What's it called? Waterhorse. Doesn't look very scary though, does it? Where's focus gone? Oh. Nudity. See, they didn't care what they put back in the magazines back in those old days. Now it's just overboard. Seeing a bare butt, you're not allowed to. Onto the UFOs again. The stories are all over the place, aren't they? I suppose it keeps it interesting. UFO goes to war. Flying discs were built by the Nazis and later by victorious powers. Well, I reckon they're vicious as well. Come on, get into focus. Describes these unconventional craft and asks whether, despite military denials, man-made sources are behind the UFO reports. So we always get this added in, don't we? The question is it a mix? If it's a mix, then we need to know it's a mix. Look at that thing. That's no way a flying saucer. That's just a waste of money. Even a hovercraft works better than that. Foo Fighters. Alright, see that one there? That's what Tyler put up a few years ago. Remember that one? And the guy in Australia flies it around, and it always gets reported as a UFO. Is that in Australia? Melbourne. Oops, what's going on here? Can we focus in? It's a bit hard. Here we go. What's the location of it? Euro was Canada. Flying Flapjack, as it's known. Yeah, but whereabouts was it? Was it in Australia? So yeah, they're trying to say it's man-made on this article, aren't they? Oh. And look, I put those patents up. Remember those patents? Well, here's one. Someone found, even before 40 years ago. So far I found 90 of them or something. You can go and watch the episode. It's called USA Patents of Flying Saucers. So there's a lot in here. A really lot. Canadian government did do a lot. Texas. Okay, what have we got up here? Talking about that strange plane again. We're seeing that patent online. And there's Von Braun. And the underground rocket factory. So I don't know. Could all the UFOs be to do with human technology? So what have we got here? One of many Welsh religious rivals. What are we talking about here? Fire within and without. What's that say there? Cured during the peak of her ministry, 1905. So what actually happened? Lights everywhere. Ghost lights. Whereabouts is that? Obviously it's got to be in Wales, right? Yes, seeing is believing. To have been chosen to be the one accepted medium for spreading of the revival. So, what was the story about? Series often ever reported in Wales where the mysterious Egron lights. I don't think I've heard Robert talk about those. Yet few people today, even among those interested in paranormal happenings, have heard of them, of the apparent inspiration. Yeah, so sounds like orb lights. Of the steam age, right? Before electrical power, so what have we got over here? Nice little painting. Come on, focus. So a bright light in the sky. A bit like the Marfa lights, I guess. Or ball lightning. Dazzling sparkles. Now we've heard of it making sissy sound and sparkling. Ball lightning. Doing a sudden jump towards the mountains. But if it's electrical charge and plasma, I'm not too sure how fast you could actually draw that between charges. If the mountain was a certain charge and another area is a certain charge, and it's sort of trapped between the two charges, two fields, I mean. One can draw it faster one direction than the other. Sounds like something natural, though. What's going on? Don't lose our Wi-Fi signal. We have got a lot going on here, though. Hey, on to the next page. Puzzles from the past. Well, there's plenty of them. Did the Indians of South America use bulldozers to build their great cities? Did the ancient Egyptians invent television? Chris Cooper charts some more mysteries of ancient technology. Okay, so what have we got here? Looks like some sort of creature made from metal and other bits and pieces. Stone. Okay, we know that place, don't we? What's it say here? Secret technologies. Unacknowledged in the standard history books, as nourished by the oddities and anomalies that crop up in these galleries and museums. Often they are they have been shown for years as quite ordinary objects, and it takes a giant leap of the imagination to see them as anything else. Okay. So where's this television business? Electrical cable runs from thus two objects between a cafe ray tubes devices. What are they talking about? Just can't focus on it. Come on. Yeah, cafe ray. Baboon and knife. Okay. I don't see any ancient technology from what I've seen. The pillar. Let's see what's over the page. They did spend a lot of time carving stuff though, didn't they? And that was the couple that found the crystal skull, wasn't it? Back to Scotland. Solway Firth. I hope it's not going to talk about that spaceman, which is a woman but turned around. I can't see any pictures of it though. Heat ray vanished by alien beings against whom? What the hell are they talking about? A burnt out case. Looks like too much reading there. We could always come back to it. Ooh, look at that thing. Alright, there's the crystal skull. Which was said to be a hoax, by the way. They found some receipts where he had paid for a crystal skull from a Indian carver or polisher, and took ages to make it, obviously. Time out of mind. Casco, was it? Time slips. Yes, I like the time slips. So you can see there's lots of stories covering lots of strange things. Again, need lots of time to read all of it. And what we've got here. Trigger factor that appears to set the occurrence in motion. Abrupt onset of the experience. The sensation of living in two time zones at once, either past or present or future. A feeling of being an integral part of experience. Notable absence of sound. Marked difference in frequency mentioned between normal light conditions and those experienced. There you go. An electric experience. Tingling, sensational, or nausea immediate before they experience a time slip. Just as particularly sensitive people may react to an impending earthquake or thunderstorm. It's interesting that several of the sensations described can also herald hauntings or paranormal happenings. Electromagnetic waves, light waves, perceive the world around us are just one example. Radio waves. So yeah, they've still been looking at these theories 40 years ago, right? Same as what we're still looking at now. I was hoping to see a couple of cases of time slip. Alright, short stories, not long pages though. Yeah, we've got here the girl from Scotland. Always sounds like a joke. One afternoon in 1959. Preparing to return, his wife and friend were separated from the others. They were suddenly confronted by a tall old woman dressed in red watering clothes who demanded to know why they were trespassing on her land. She spoke English with a Scottish accent and was obviously very angry. She apologised, but she continued to complain, adding some bitter comments about modern manners. A shouted inquiry from the others made the three look around. When they turned back, the old lady had vanished. So was that a ghost or a time slip? And as it transpired, none of the others had seen her at all. Local inquiries revealed that although no eccentric Scottish lady lived there then, the local landlord great-grandfather had married the girl from Scotland at the turn of the century. At the turn of the century, not return. Was the figure a curiosity, talkative ghost? Hallucination. Well, obviously, if three people saw it, can't be, can it? Sounds like a ghost. Dragon. What's that about? The Book of Dragon. A dragon. How much do we know? So it's probably talking about the mythical dragon. Spring Hill Jack, Lights of Inspiration, History of Werewolves. I was never a fan of werewolves. I don't know about you guys, but then when I heard about the dog man being related to the Bigfoot, then that made more sense to me. Elusive Irish monsters and corruptible corpses. Eh? Okay, where have we got the first one? The Core of the Wild. So that's going to be the werewolf story, is it? Sounds a bit like Skinwalker Ranch. Yep. What have we got here? Strange shaped heads. Egyptian, is it? So if these are werewolves, where are they now? Going back centuries. It's not going to get in focus. Doesn't look very friendly. Of course, they've been seen all over the world, haven't they? Witches and werewolves. Again, it could be my theory about multiverses, where suddenly the portals open up and they can be anywhere in the world, or multiple doorways all at the same time. Could allow these creatures from another world to come into ours for a brief instant. And maybe somehow this sort of snapped back out like a big magnet. He's pretty exposed. How dare you? Oh, the censorship being so bad now for artwork? Probably find out, won't we? The devil. Well, if you're a devil, you wouldn't walk around with no clothes on, exposing your nutsack, would you? That's asking for trouble. You get a Christian that kick you straight between the legs, you're going down. Lake creatures, water horses, there you go. That one looks more like an eel. 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 Not eel. And the last one had little feet flippers on it. And there's one of the lakes. Doesn't look very deep though. Have we got a picture? Have we? What are we looking at? Oh, a man pulling in a net on a boat. Okay. Do we see a monster? I don't. The disturbance of these reeds seen here during the sighting gave him an impression of the bulk of the creature. Okay. So could it be one of those virgin sturgeons in the water that they keep saying are the monsters that people are seeing? Okay, they're falling down to 90% already. The humps in the water. On to the next page. What have we got now? Get focused. What are we looking at? Something in the bushes here. What does it say? Why is it monsters are almost always seen by people who are not expecting them? What's that? Australian thing, is it? Sheeran's monster. Kind of looks like a cat. Kangaroo. Terror of London. That's kind of creepy. It's not Halloween yet, is it? This one looks like it'd be a good story. Was the frightening figure a man known only as Spring-Heeled Jack? Is that Jack the Ripper? Well, if it is, he can float around. That's an old story, isn't it? Victorian Underground. Pure legend. Perhaps invention of servants reluctant to admit negligence when thieves robbed their master's home. Aha! Cover up. Cover up. Appeared as a milk white bull, a white bear, and an enormous baboon. Well, I suppose I can't see why criminals wouldn't train up a baboon to steal stuff through small entries, right? And then bring it out to them. So there may be some truth to the story. Circus trainers, right? Probably circus that travels around. And then they get their trained monkeys to steal. And of course they can jump a fair distance high too. What else we got here? Still talking about Spring-Heeled Devil. Of course, acrobats can jump quite high too, can't they? Like a run and leap. I could just see that as part of the circus. Probably someone in circus was a criminal mastermind. Go and rob the rich. What else we got? The Holy Incorruptibles. Well, I don't know about that. There's certainly a lot of dodgy stuff in religion. With the saints, none is more mystifying than that of incorruptibility when their bodies do not decompose. So is that what it means? So what's that meant to be? A picture of a hand? Looks like it. I don't know. What does it say there? Come on, focus. Who looks as fresh and lifelike as when she lay dying in 1879. But if they're such creatures of God, wouldn't they live forever? Why would they die so young too? See, that's what I don't go with religion. Her face is, however, now covered with a thin layer of wax to prevent discoloration. Okay. Oh, there we go. That's the same one. Doesn't look too good now. Eh? Might put you off to dinner if you're watching this. Or your lunch. Yeah, I didn't like these stories too much, even when I was reading them 40 years ago. I always thought the church and everything was just not to be trusted. A bit like the government. And super rich. So yeah, not too interested in this one. So we'll just give past it. Lighten our darkness. So what's that say up there? What were the mysterious lights that accompanied Mary Jane's 1905 Welsh ministry? Well, we looked at those lights earlier, didn't we? And this is another article on it. Bizarre tale of religious fervour and its UFO connection. So we got some more drawings and paintings. So we've already seen some of that. See that funny line pattern there as the words are spaced? Kind of looks like a scratch or writing on there, you know, like a hidden code. See that there? The white lines. Was it only me that sees it? I can't see patterns like that. So is it a hidden thing to see how many readers picked up on it? Maybe they do things like that in magazines. It looks like a triangle pattern at the bottom there, but I can't make out what it is. I'd have to probably draw a outline around everything. Perhaps you should take a snapshot. It kind of looks like some sort of creature, like a dog. I'm not sure if I can get it or not. Maybe we could do it another day. I'll snap it from the screen here and see if we can draw around it, see if we can make a picture of it. Book of Secrets. So, what's that? UFO, aliens, ball lightning. I don't know. Too much reading. Okay, what do we got here? Inside a church again. And that looks like ball lightning to me. With sparkles coming off the edges. But who knows? Could be something breaking through a multiverse. Keep it secret. Keep a secret. What's that one there? The UFO phenomenon. The secret country. Probably some more books to buy. Yeah, so we're up to magazine number 4. And we've lost 10% of the battery, even though it's plugged in. The cyborg cover-up. When the Welsh lights faded, the werewolf transformation, fossils that do not fit. Curse of the Boy King. Looks like a experimental UFO. well, a drone anyway. So what have we got? The Boy Curse. Soon after the discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb, several of those involved in the evacuation become ill or died. But when you think about it, if there was like, why did they die in the first place? If they died from a plague like C-19, and they opened it up, then they exposed the virus back to the world again, where it may have mutated. Many believe the victims of the dreadful mummy curse. Oh, too far. Fell on the other screen. So there's a big long story there. Imagine having that all gold. That would be worth a bit of money now. So, not as bad as a blur photo, is it? But still, it's pretty. You can see back then that the photos weren't black and white. They went sort of browny colour as they aged. But now they are preserved in magazine, at least, or online now. Blow site tomb of Tutankhamun in the Valley of the Kings. So why wasn't he put in the Great Pyramids? You have to ask, don't you? That's because the Great Pyramids were a machine. And why have a king's chamber and a queen's chamber? Well, gases. Of course, I've explained all that. What have we got here? The locations. And we didn't have Google Maps back in those days, so what happened there?
Opening maps.
No, what's going on, Google? Stupid OK Google interrupting us. No, go away. OK Google, close. No, they probably don't understand that and probably turn off the... How do we get it to stop? I don't know. I suppose we could use OK Google at the same time. I might have to change the startup thing as to some other name. OK Crapheads. Delusions and transformations. Yeah, I'm not too a fan of werewolves, as I said before. Some of those dogs are quite big though. And the grey, you know. Like they hunt down the people until they've killed them. And they can stand up on two legs, can't they? And maybe that's where the tails come from. It kind of looks like a dog, really, doesn't it? A clairvoyant that dealt with werewolves. I'm skeptical of that claim. What do we got here? That's a strange looking NASA vehicle there, isn't it? Secret weapons and cyborgs. And sure enough, there's that Explain. Did that hover? Did it, or was that just like a snapshot of it coming down? What Explain number is it? Does it say over here? Remotely piloted research craft. And right, lifting body craft lacked wings since its whole upper surface generated lift that was launched from a bomber at high altitude. So they're saying the shape of the body created lift, not that it had lift capabilities. And there's your TR-3B. Eh? British Flying Wing. 1947. I thought they'd bring that up. Crescent shape on many UFO reports. So that's where... Still, it could have been an experimental triangle craft that crashed. Because if you look at the picture, it was like a D shape. And that sort of looks like a D shape, even that one. It'd be interesting to see what that turns out to, whether it turned out to be just a mogul balloon or another experimental craft. Maybe it crashed into the mobile balloon. Whether it was aliens or whether it was chimpanzees that got CRISPR'd up, which looked like aliens, we don't know. And look at that thing there. That kind of looks like a UFO. Some sort of drone, isn't it? Experimental helicopter. This robot craft rotor span 26 feet, 8 meters. So, famous Philadelphia experiment. What was that? So, all the good stuff. UFOs under wraps. The US Air Force were responsible for the investigation of UFO reports into in the United States. 1948 to 69, during which period the number of cases on file grew to over 12,600. Of those, 701, that was what the movie was going to be called, wasn't it? Or more than 5% were classified as unexplained. So it's got all the key names there. See? And this information just keeps going round and round. I think that was a prototype of a nuclear rocket there, called the Dangaleus or something like that. Let's see if I'm correct, if I can find the name of it. Driven by hydrogen bomb, yeah, nuclear. Project Daedalus. I almost got it right. Daedalus. No, what did I say? I don't know. How do you say that one? There's a detailed scheme by the British Independent Society. Fuel pellets from the global tanks would be burned into a series of H-bomb explosions, driving the ship at a appreciable fraction of the speed of light. This concept exists only on drawing boards, as far as publicly known. I wonder if they've gone ahead secretly and done it then. That would make sense, wouldn't it? But when you run out of pallets, though, I think you would. Unless you sent out one of these craft that gradually created a space station that made the pallets, I suppose. Like space station wayports, way spots, or what you want to call it. Wayports sounds good. Inadmissible evidence. That looks pretty gory looking, doesn't it? Looks like it's been stabbed in the middle. So what are we talking about here? Did men work and walk among the primeval forests that were dug up as coal? Did men hunt dinosaurs? So that story's been going on for 40 odd years. There you go. Is anyone still out there with us? Or did you get bored? Which stories bored you? The werewolf one? New relics for old. So what is that thing? Looks like a rabbit dinosaur. Oh, there you go. Eric von Braun has been caught out. In fact, the stones were made by a local artisan. Okay. The stones have also been hauled into the ancient astronaut controversy by Eric von Duncan. Heart transplant and brain surgery. Alright, so that's what that was about over here. But an artist made it, I guess, is what they're saying. Debunked. Yeah. That's quite annoying though, but at least the hoaxes come clean, then we can sort of move on. Else we end up... So who's this? Is this the baby skull thing? Soviet Armenian over 4,000 years ago. Surgeons had plugged the hole in with a piece of animal bone. So they did brain surgery. Technical superior to modern doctors. Oh God. Really? Maybe there was a serial killer back then that sort of stuck thing in and made them into living ball zombies or something. Who knows? Flint tools. Well, looks like a midget lady with a deformed baby. Peruvian. Shows a child being given an enema. Really? That's a tube up the bum. Where if you're not drinking and vomiting all the time, you can actually keep them by putting water up the bum and can absorb into the intestines. And also nutrients, of course. So that's a pretty grey looking picture. A fading star. Okay, what's that one about? Mysterious lights flashed and hovered around Mary Jones. So okay, we're back to that gang. Reported in the Egrin area. The Welsh Triangle, I suppose. Okay, what we've got here. What's it say? Surrounded by a pillar of fire. Vision of a flying egg room. Chapel surrounded by a pillar of fire. That's kind of weird. St. Elmo's fire. A ball lightning. Here we go for time. Now this is what I see on my control panel. 3 likes, 0 watching. And this is my other screen where you get infinity. Whoa, look at that. Yeah, pretty cool. Hello. Anyway. Back to the book. Welsh lights. Oh, not a Robert. Robert Jones this time, not a farmer. She died lonely and forgotten in 1936. The lights had long since abandoned her. Ah, okay. So does it mean the lights vanished with her? So maybe somehow she was like a supercharged human that sort of generated the ball lightning. Or could it be aliens? Of course. And once she's gone, the aliens go to the next person. So yeah, we've only gone through a fraction of the book, but it's not a bad test. And we'll do all of them. Blood from a Stone. On to 41. We started at 37. I think the other book starts at 1 to 36. Well, we just skipped that first one because we looked at it last time 3 years ago. But I'll redo it. The Shock of Science. The Welsh Triangle. Secrets of the Grave. Man into Beast. Egyptian Magic. What's that picture of? Medians. What does it say? This page is a wee bit difficult. Physical discoveries of the 19th century conflicted with the scientific picture of the universe. Yeah, that one's not very good backing to read, is it? No, that face. What was his name? Charles. Racket. French. Psychologist, isn't it? No, how'd you say that word? Psychologist. Zoologist. I'm not saying if I'm saying that right or not. It's not like we can right click on it and say Google read it. That would be good if we could. Anyway. Focus. Oh, yucky. Comes out the belly button. Now, how do they do that trick? A billiard ball universe. Hey, that's mine. That's similar to mine. The sphere universe. From solid to liquid to gas. Energy likewise was indestructible. 3 cycles, yes. So these ideas have been around for a while. What does that say? In search of the ether. Hey, the ether. Although, I think this is not the one Tesla was talking about. Well, it might be. Talking about Morley and Richardson. Oh, out of focus. Devised a experiment to detect it. What was that one? Sound waves are carried in the air since the Earth moves around the orbit of the Sun. Strong ether wind must be blowing over the planet. No, wrong completely. Although we do know there are solar winds. The ether is dark matter that's all around us. See, that's where they go wrong, and this is why people think it's pseudoscience. I don't know how they stand it all that bad. That'd be itchy. What have we got here? X-rays. Okay, so it looks like we're talking about physics and science. Nuclear, is it? Agent Orange or something. What was that one? Talking about the universe. Structure of atom. Radioactivity. Alright, that must have been nuclear blast, was it? I can't show you too much of that. I'll get in trouble. Echoes of Egypt. I'm just trying to guess what it's talking about here without reading. See the silly hats? That's a lampshade head. Look, have you ever seen one? Statue of Osiris with his crook and flower. This whole. Remember that story from that Australian guy saying that the UFO merged with their house and it turned into the bench turned into stone and it looked like 8-foot creatures with lampshade heads or something. Egyptian. Good story. And he reckons he's got it on film. But it's now on a dead hard drive. Yeah. That would be really good to see. So back to the story of the Wealth Triangle. Okay, so we've heard that on the show before with Robert. UFO sightings, is that the school one? Yes, it is. Look at that. So I did have it in my books, the Broadhaven School incident. And that's the school. Interesting. So that's been around for a while, hasn't it? Was two sources stacked one against the other. Let's make some dough. Broadhaven School. UFO. And also we've got more details here that we could have used for the episode if we had none. If we had known it was in the book. And there's some pictures that the kids drew. They're all sort of similar, but also very different. I wonder why they can be so different, though. The werewolf. Not too interested in this. He doesn't look very scary. The case of mistaken identity. I probably thought someone was a werewolf, but it was a deformed person. A witch, is it? It was preservation. Right, I remember seeing this on a documentary. What was that one called now? From dead bodies that do not decay may often be explained in natural terms, but as Bob Richard points out, remain many cases incorruptibility that defy rational explanation. Looks like he's coated with copper, doesn't it? Who knows? Maybe they got killed by some toxin that also kills off bacteria. Who knows? That's kind of freaky. Mummies. Oh, yucky. We'll skip over that one. Right, now you can buy the binders, and I bought 4 of them as well. They weren't as good as those ones though. Look better in the picture than they do than what they really are. Unexplained. PSI. The Cinderella Science. Images that bled and weep. UFOs at Roperstone Farm. Never heard of that one. Master Builder's Secrets. Mystery Alchemists. So there's going to be more interesting stories coming up. Blood and Tears. I need to get a drink. So, are they saying these bleed? So I often thought there was tricks done by the priests that run the show there. I got my mouse cursor in the way again. Alright, does it look like it's bleeding? Patents that bleed. I think someone debunked that though. We'll just skim past these ones. What's that? Stigmata? Wipes away the tears she shed by the plastic Madonna. that happen? A kid pranking the mum. Yes, that was me. Yeah, Stonehenge. I was supposed to get a drink. How they said it was put up. I suppose that's one way of doing it. Remember that guy did the seesaw one? I think his one was a better explanation. But they're doing sort of like a seesaw there where they're lifting it, but that's probably the harder way to do it. Gradually lift it, put more wood underneath, gradually lift it, put more wood underneath. But if you did it as a seesaw, you can do it with one person. And he did that exactly with the pillars there. Do a seesaw, eventually dug a hole, and it could be pulled upright quite easily, even by one person with block and tackle. And there you go, seesaw again. So if it won't come and focus, there we go. And yeah, seesaw. There's that on Easter Island. Well, it looks like it, doesn't it? So there you go, explanation of how they got those ones to pop up. Gradually wedge wood, is it? All stones in front. So yeah, you got some science stuff in it too. It goes all the way back to 40 years ago. That people looks like they've sussed it out by replicating it. Even though there's no pictures of how it's built. A hidden network. Then a new type of radar developed to survey the surface of the planet Venus was used to search the Mayan sites. Yep, more stuff gets discovered as technology gets better. Hidden face, Fulacanlinali. What's that? One of the strangest stories to have emerged from the cloud of mystery that surrounds the ancient science of alchemy is that of modern master Fulcanelli describes what is known of the extraordinary map. Never heard of him. Yet it's in my books, I've got no excuse. So what did he do? Turn lead into gold or what? And just doesn't sort of reading again. What's that about the evidence at the bottom? Can't quite get to it. It came in the form of a remarkable book. Okay. The Mystery of the Cathedrals, published. Okay, what's that one? Is that the one that burnt down recently? Notre Dame, is it? Let's have a look. What does it say? Yes, Notre Dame. Oh, too far. Okay. Well, I'm not really seeing anything worth reading there. A giant faceless humanoid, a strange teleportation of cattle and a car chasing UFO. Just some of the many phenomenally alleged experiences by the Coombs family. Yeah, we've covered those ones before. Of Rapperston Farm. See, it was in these books as well. But how much of what was reported actually took place? Okay, so there might be something in this book that we didn't know about. Maybe they had the spaceman looking in through the window. I just skim reading it in my head. Draw attention of 2 UFO enthusiasts. Okay. So there was 3 books written on it, so it's a good way to make money. Sell it to magazines. Go on, in focus. That's it. So that was the one where the cows apparently were stacked in a barn, where it suddenly vanished and all in a paddock, a mile away, wasn't it? Something like that. Within 5 minutes, which is impossible. I don't remember seeing pictures of him, but it's certainly in the book. And there's this silver-suited space alien. Is the audio still working, guys? Testing 1, 2, 3. Yep. I know there's not many people on the site. Not interested in books. What have we got here? A ladder of all things. So that's kind of a weird thing for a flying saucer. Eh? What was the last page? Didn't see much on there. Down there. It seemed to turn over several pages at once. The Cinderella Science. Okay. So what's underneath that part of it there? A hole to pass it through. So let's see, what does it say? More scientists keen to investigate the world of parapsychology. Such as rings linked by PK could be found and put in display in the museum as such an object. The shapes cut out of plywood are firmly linked, but the question is how this came about. Were they ingeniously made that way, or were they linked paranormally? I don't know. What's underneath that part there, though? Or does a bit of that plywood slide out and leave a hole, like a hidden door? That would be my bet. Probably how that's done, because plywood's like that. It'd be give it to us to explain it. We'll pull it apart. What have we got up here? Demonstrates the random number generator you do it to use in ESP tests. Subjects attempt to guess or even influence a sequence of flashing lights. Over years of a number of remarkable hints have been scored. Hints or hits? Where the hell's that? You're 3 for £3. So puzzle of the pyramids. We've got a good idea how they're made now. They used to build up canals to all the structures and carry the big weights on reed boats. Could go up to 10 tons or whatever. And then slide it onto these slides. And use counterweights. Inside the pyramid. And there's the underground one that goes to water, which I talked about on my theory. Aha! That's where I must have got the image that I painted. You can see that up on the wall there. Pyramids. That's where the picture comes from. Or the right angle for it, anyway. It's a good picture, that one. Shows the caps, the rocks that will be at the top there. One of the theories of how it was built. Come on and focus. Wooden cranes. There you go. It's not such a mystery. Plus they drew pictures of how they dragged it along. And they're throwing some oil at the front there. One of it was animal fat or beeswax or something. And build a massive ramp that they keep adding to it to get to the next layer. That would make sense, wouldn't it? And then just get rid of the ramp after. And there's also possible theories there. Pages are stuck together. And outward and visible sign. Okay, this is stigmata where people fall in these holes, apparently, and start bleeding. Wounds of Christ. I'm very skeptical of that they did it themselves. What have we got here? Turning into the grave. The mysterious movement of lead cast coffins in a sealed tomb in Barbados in the 19th century must be believed by many to be the work of some supernatural force. So it looks like a big story. I wonder if it was put on Unsolved and not in Search Of series, probably. I think the In Search Of series come after the magazines, actually. That's one of my favourite shows. With Mr. Spock on it. So what they're saying, the coffins would move around. But let's say if it got flooded, right? Then they'd probably float and then they'd be modelled up, right? Instead of nicely stacked upon each other. So what are they saying? Maybe they put lead in it so they wouldn't float. Made of lead. Automatic. What's that saying? Oh, my hands get sore now. I know there'd be a limit to me holding this thing. If they were lead coffins though, how would they float? I guess it depends how heavy they are, really. Where's the caption for that one? There we go. Drawings made by eyewitness to show how the coffins were originally placed in the vault and how they were found. Yeah, not too sure if I think that's much of a mystery. Okay, looks like we're talking about science again, is it? Archie Roy describes the world of modern physics. Yeah, there you go. Where time flies at a varying rates or even goes backwards. Where matter and antimatter are all constant flux. So the idea of universes and time flying backwards has been around for a while. The Phantom Universe. I'm talking about the parallel universes, I bet you. So this idea has been around for a while. Einstein. Spooky action at a distance. atom. So it's talking about the atom makeup. So it has got some normal science things here. Not all paranormal and UFO stories. What the hell? The photon causes an electron to be ejected. Radiation. So we know all about that. It's good that they put some basic science in there. Now we got boon spending. Metal bending. To miss it as fraud or delusion, examples of this bizarre power continue to be recorded. Tells the story. So how would you bend it inside a glass thing like that? The spoons we know about. How it can be done, but how would you be able to do it with that? Don't know. And we got two electron microscope images of the metal, I guess. Who's that? Can't quite focus on it now. Maybe because the book slipped down. That makes it easier. I wonder why it was getting harder. The book's slowly sliding. So it wasn't just Uri Geller then. Looks like it was other people that found that out too. Postscripts. So we got halfway through this book. Maybe. Yeah, it's taken us 2.5 hours to get there. Alola's mystery. Who are the stigmatics? Pyramid power. Accessed Welsh Triangle again. The legend of Falcanian. So we've seen some of those stories before. The cradle of all our science. What are we talking about here? 24 rim lines. There. Thumb, rum. Have been discovered. Spain, Europe, Greece. The lines radiate from Monte Purit. One of the lines charted in detail, line 5, runs for Calisol near the Scottish border to Aliso. Yeah, what does it mean? A bit of lost in this one. Was that talking about ley lines, maybe? It's funny. Reckons it's got zero likes here now, which is nonsense, isn't it? Yeah, I don't really care about them. The stigmatas. There's the pyramids again. Pyramid para. Yes, I still think that's a machine. Now you have to watch my episode on it. That kind of makes sense though. Maybe it had natural harmonics, but also if it was split in hydrogen and oxygen, the Queen's chamber may have certain echoiness, and oxygen would cause healing. Could be something to it. What's going on here with the mouse? Got caught up in the cable. So what are they trying to say here? Pyramid Power. That wasn't used to make electricity, maybe. A modern pyramid. That's in Texas, isn't it? Northampton, okay. Looks like everybody builds glass pyramids everywhere. Meditating and a wireframe pyramid. Well, I would build one over my bed if it's going to fix my back properly. Those aliens only did half a job. They fixed it and then the back pain moved, which apparently does happen. When they freeze vertebrates in your back, the pain tends to move elsewhere. Maybe that's what happened with me. Yes, mate. There are some sideburns you got there, that's for sure. Yeah. Too much washing. Truth about the Welsh Triangle Gang. Well, and other facts have been distorted or exaggerated almost beyond recognition in the light of more addictive investigation into the Westworld sightings. It is possible to just now how much truth subsists in the accounts given in public and to reassess some of the events, outlined in pre-season articles. So, here she is again. Yeah, probably need to give the book to Robert, say read all that and summarise it for us. A bit too much for me to read it, unfortunately. It does my eyes in with the floaters. So there might be something in there we don't know, which is not on the web. That might be actually in those paper book things where they've been caught lying. Book 45. Secrets, again, of Eliza. How would it is? Attack of hostile UFOs. Oh, the money pit. It's Oak Island, isn't it? The new view of reality, a stroll into the past. Not sure what happened there. It sort of locked up. So what are they talking about? Salt of the earth. Sounds like religion. Oh, Oak Island, there we go. The money pit. Oh, I can get far enough away to show the whole book. Well, we know all about Oak Island. We've got a TV series that's been going on for years now. There's the original Oak. If they had that to start with, right, they may have sorted out in one season just by putting one of those big round things going down, 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 down right around it. So it would never get flooded. So yeah, we don't need the book. The book's going to be out of date to what we know now, that's for sure. New real view of reality. The mind seems able to leap over barriers in space-time and even death itself. In studying nature, we discover ourselves. What's that meant to be? Physical difference involved in predictions. Event 1, okay. Rigorous test of powers of psychics and mediums. This looks like one of the old computers I used to use. Apple too. Nice. Two electrifying experiences. About as big as a gasometer. Balls of light in the game. UFO. Man in the Flames. Close encounter of the third kind. Remember Earl Grey was talking about his girlfriend that was seeing a man and burn in flames at the door every night she went to bed. This is the second time I've heard about a man in flames. In that case, saw an orange-coloured oval-shaped object from 6 feet in length. Orange glow lit up everything. Object disappeared behind trees. Suddenly Michael came stumbling through the hedge, clutching his neck and eyes. He staggered away from the car. Others thought he was having a game with them. Diagnosed him with shock. There were burn marks on the back of his neck and a bump below his right ear. Ipswich Hospital. Saying about his incident was that if indeed there had been a force capable of pulling a man from a car, or more likely a mental compulsion to leave the car, then it was really remarkable, selective. So, don't understand in that case. So that comes from the UFO casebook, so that must be on their database then. So that must be Michael, not on flames then, I don't know. Man in the flames. Just say flames there. Stopped his car. Time slip. American spook lights. UFO catches fishermen. Hypnosis, does it exist? I got some more to go through. Maybe I should end it there for this one. Like I said, I've got another 3 of these type books with that many magazines in them. But my arm is a bit hurting on this camera, I must admit. I would like to have it on a tripod, but I would have to set it up in another room. But I don't think it'd be as easy moving around reading it. So what are they telling us on this one? Hypnosis. Psychic powers. Showing how a chicken can be hypnotized. Its beak is forced down into the chalk line, and apparently the chicken believes it cannot move from the line. I've never seen that happen. Well, who's got a chicken to do a test run on this? This looks like a rooster anyway. A chicken believes it can't move from the line. Amazing. Spook lights over America. And that looks like the swampy waterway where Mojo filmed his UFO sucking up water. Pale, silent, flame-like lights sometimes appear in the night. Didn't they say that's because of methanol and it can ignite methane gas, I mean, from lakes? Thick pages, these are nice and glossy too. Hasn't faded in that time. Hey, hi Nick. We'll get into that one. The Fisherman's Tale. Pascagoula. Charles Part1 investigates. We got the actual tapes, hypnosis tapes. We've covered that story many times. Seen that picture before. The fireman's suits again. Which is very similar to the Pascagoula thing, I guess, you know. Makes you wonder whether it was the same aliens or not. Image of perfection. Face one side and face another. Lead into gold. We could do with some of that. Disaster at the pits. Mysteries of the migration. The healing of trance. Key to reality. Do we give it a break there? Looks like we have to make 6 episodes up to go through it all. What are we up to? Almost 3 hours. Mysteries of time and space. Philosopher's Stone. Harry Potter. Chemical reactions. Egyptians, what are they up to? Believed they had seen the production of gold from base metals. But they don't know how. sinking into the Maya. What the island does. Climate change. The money pit again. Yeah, we know about the money pits. And what a mess they made of it. Some good pictures here of it though. There's the submarine going down. And the drill bits. I think they're going to find out in that TV show eventually. They dig up the whole island eventually, layer by layer. And as long as they got the money to fund it. To the ends of the earth. The phenomenon of migration. And of course, these triangles that are captured on thermal or night vision are often these birds formations. Migration pyramids, paths. Of course, New Zealand has some as well. We get a lot of birds from Australia here, and we also get the Canadian geese. The healing of trance. Feel no pain. I wonder if it'll work with back pain. That'd be good. Magnetism. Charlatan's trick. Parlor game. What the hell? Sleep, elephant, sleep. Order out of chaos. Sunspots. Subatomic particles that are separated in space and time behave as if they know about each other. Spooky action at a distance. Talking about the flames, that's why the circles form, guys. North and south magnetism. Remember the Third Face was putting up something recently about the spheres sucking energy off the sun, or there's the explanation of how they form. So people writing in with their stories by the looks of it. And now they come to YouTube channels. Not really. Be good if they did tell their stories. Ball lightning over the bed. Okay, what killed the mammoths? Time slips, French time slips, case of Mary Gang. Oh no, Mary Celestial. That's that boat, a ghost ship. Money Pit mystery again. No wonder I was interested in the Money Pit. I saw it in these books years ago. The mammoths. Why did they disappear? And the article's to try and tell us, I guess. Maybe because humans hunted them, eated them. And the last one's got stuck in the swamp. Run out of food. Yeah, as you can see, it's a big article about it all. So, why did they disappear? Was there any conclusion? Any little bit of blurb we can read? This indicated that the creature met a sudden death, and analysis of the contents of the stomach analysis revealed the mammoth's diet consisted of plants that still grow in the area, which raises a fascinating question: could there still be mammoths in Siberia? I think they would have spotted them by now. But they got enough DNA of a mammoth to make one alive again. I suppose I could use elephant DNA to mix it. So yeah, so near yet so far. Money Pit again. Seen all these drawings on a TV show, haven't we? Yep, never seen that one. Classic case of Mary Celesti. Is it how you say it? Tire crew is one of the most fascinating mysteries of the sea, but as Paul points out, it was only the climax of a long history of weird misfortunes. So this sounds like an interesting story, but again, it's going to be lots of reading. Back in those days, if they had mouldy bread, it can actually make them go into LSD fits, couldn't it? Makes you wonder if they saw a UFO though and jumped overboard through panicking, or some sea monster. Yeah, it's quite a long story, isn't it? looks like I probably have to wrap up now anyway. Being asked if I want to eat anything. But our lunch was a nice lunch of fish and chips, which is quite filling. Probably end up with a sandwich or something. I'll go and have a look. Maybe we'll do microwave cheese on toast. That normally comes out quite good. The tomatoes are fantastic. Back to more UFO stuff. UFO photophile. UFOs force fields. Okay, so we can carry on with 49 next time, I guess. Then the next book. So yeah, I guess better leave it there. Gradually get through it. I should call this one Part 1. But I wasn't sure how well it came out. It didn't come out too well, not too bad, I mean. You can see here the folder that comes in. Anyway. Well, I hope you liked that. Should bookmark that next time. That link there goes to my phone. Is that bookmark? IP webcam, yep, that'll do. And you can do lots of things here which we haven't tried around soon. Yeah, it's quite clever software. And that's for Android, so it's free as well. I wonder what's not working when it's free though. Focus mode. I thought it all went okay. The software was perfect. Anyway, maybe I'll resume another day and break it up, of course. And should resize that too, shouldn't I? Back to there. All perfect. It's a bit of a shame that no one was interested in following through the book. I'll just close him down. So I'll say good night. And the next one will happen. Or next few actually. Still, so we can complete the whole book series. You never know what stories we'll come across. There might be something that we missed on previous UFO topics. You might be able to pause when I was zooming around there. Stuff you might be able to read. Pause it when it's processed. And I'll just wrap up now. What is it? 3 hours, 3:15. 3.5, 3.25 hours. Whoa! What are you saying, Paul? Now let's see how it comes out when it's processed. Yeah, so that's what we had to do in the old days to get our stories on paranormal and UFO cases. And you can see that we covered quite a few famous ones from the UK there. Take care on the roads. Good night.